Welcome to the first ever Hermitcraft Recap Awards. Today we will be celebrating the end of Hermitcraft Season 10 by revisiting the best moments and mishaps of the last 20 months. A couple of weeks ago, our intern realised that the recap subscribers represent a pretty even cross-section of the fanbase, which we are in the unique position to get a critically unbiased opinion out of. Which is why she hijacked the community page of our YouTube channel and posted a lengthy poll in which our viewers could rank the Hermitcraft members and moments and builds in 24 different categories, from best shop to best lore to, and I quote, best armor stand display by someone other than Cleo. Today we will be giving out imaginary rewards based on who you voted for, unless Sloy vetoes it, because let's face it, there's no arguing with that guy. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at all the best of Hermitcraft Season 10, according to you weirdos. Starting with Best Builds, which is one heck of a competition on this server. That's why we've split it into a few subcategories to more precisely communicate just how good we are eating.
And eat good we shall, because our first category is Best Minigame, which of course has been taken by Tankotech's game Hungry Hermits, with over 42% of your votes. Tankotech's ode to diner games certainly took the cake this season. With so many memorable moments, we nearly changed the later Best Minigame Moment category to Best Hungry Hermits Moment. Helps that this is a two-player game to begin with, so there's a lot of time for funny introductions as the servermates are scrambling to fight off the rat mechanics and persevere in running the best armor stand restaurant they can.
Rats are silverfish. They drop from the ceiling and they pretty much go kill the chefs, because it's fun and I like that.
The competition for this award was stiff too, but while the runner-up Metro Mayhem will go down in history as the second best, the third place Ravager Rush actually came back to us in a completely different category when we asked you which of the shops this season you liked the most. That's right, the next category would be the best shop, and we tried to make a distinction that this is about the shop itself and not whatever gambling is going on in the basement. But despite how competitive this poll was, Etho's Froglight shop still came out on top. Admittedly, it is hard to separate the Frogger-inspired highway dodging action game from the actual store, as the ability to actually buy the Froglights was tied directly into how well you can do the truck running. But even then, the frogs decorating the sides of the building are rather cute, and Etho really did take full advantage of his Froglight permit, or as we like to call it, Permit the Frog. From there, we move to Best Public Build, which raises a question of what on this video documented server even counts as public. Well, the answer really is whatever the tall claims courthouse is. And we did have some impressive runners-up, like the aforementioned Home of Questionable Justice, the Fan Art Gallery, or even Joe Hill's life-size home door project, which took multiple Joe Hills'ai to complete. But among all the joint ventures, you all chose to show appreciation for the postal system, which is entirely fair, as this was a uniquely ambitious project whose presence on the server has been felt across the entire season.
Hello, welcome to the post office, lovelies.
Oh, I love it.
Ready to take your service.
The complex series of trucks and portals at the bottom of the Nether was a huge undertaking for Tango, Pearl, and especially Etho, who could have spent that time building a roof for his base instead. And it was well worthwhile, keeping the Hermits connected by allowing automatic mail delivery throughout the season, which alone is impressive enough. But the value of the build will become doubled once you realize it required, among other things, every server member to actually agree on something. And last, for our best build category, is the best base. And boy, this one wasn't even close! While several other Hermits got appreciation in the nomination phase, nearly half of you agreed that Joel Smallish Beans won Hermitcraft forever by completing this magnificent Japan-inspired base during his first ever season on the server. Not to mention that it comes with an amazing a cappella soundtrack, as almost every other episode, Joel started with a legally cromulent knockoff of copyrighted material, mostly ABBA songs. Until of course he gave up and just bought the rights to Murder on the Dance Floor. Also, he even built the back!
Among all these larger builds are the smaller details and decorations that give them life. We'd like to take a moment to appreciate some of these little things with our next category, Best Decorations. And with the mod for posable armor stands installed on the server, many of these small things came in the form of the big things in unexpected shapes. Using the Armor Statues data pack by Mookie Tanuki and Pushpak, the Hermits have created dozens of elaborate displays around the server, wowing audiences and tanking frame rates alike. One Hermit is in fact so well known for these sculptures that we had to create a special award just for them. Zombie Cleo is responsible for so many of the server's statue artworks that we decided to give them their own category and call it a day. And even then it was a tight competition. Their Metro Mayhem editions alone are so plentiful they could fill up a ballot, but their Bad Boys display of Joel and Jimmy riding motorcycles rode straight in the hearts of over a quarter of you, winning at this award. Moving on from Cleo's handiwork, the award for Best Armor Display by someone other than Cleo has entries from several members with varying levels of experience with the data pack, leading the votes to be even closer, though this is far from our most contentious category. The favorites in this category are mostly big displays with dozens of figures posed around the Hermits' bases, bringing life and character to their builds through a little bit of storytelling, and a lot of letting Jim and I kill them for decorative heads. And to that tune, your choice for Best Armor Stand Display by someone other than Cleo is Pearlescent Moon's entire PvP ballroom. We suspect it got bonus points for being a rare example of an interactive art piece.
Let the dance of death begin, Pearl.
The dance of death. All right, part 2. Here we go.
Whereas most statues are designed for looking, not touching, Pearl's decorations are meant both as obstacle and launching pad during mace slamming competitions, giving fighters a target to pogo off of so they can drop on their opponents.
The competition gets even tighter as we move into Best Sign. Ever since the Great Prank War of Season 6, it's been well known that 4 lines of text on a plank can turn the tide of the server and drown half the people on it. And though no prank war broke out in Season 10, many a plank has been placed, leaving you to once again pick the best one. When taking your suggestions for this category, we originally phrased it as Best Sign or Book, expecting the written part would be implied. This was obviously a mistake, as Grian's Mending Book had no clear competition this season, except perhaps Skizzleman's touching collection of compliments waiting for the Hermit in his pyramid's final room. So for the voting round, it was revamped to just Best Sign, a category we still defined much more loosely than 6 planks and a stick. 4 signs came within 1% of the votes of one another. That's barely 30 votes of difference between 1st and 4th place in this category. Our runners-up include the heartfelt finale signs from 2 Hermits, Mumbo Jumbo's simply stating, "A view Mumbo loved," and Joel's dedicating his base to his wife and newborn child. These are narrowly defeated by Grian's message, "Gone fishing," permanently left behind at the permit office to signify that permits were no more. But these are narrowly edged out by a sign made of materials that not only don't come from trees, they aren't even visible if you get too far away. That's right, Joel Smallish Beans' gigantic high B-dubs made of horse heads wins your vote for Best Sign for the season. We can still hear the screaming.
He's just taunting me.
Yeah, but why?
He knows I love horse.
And finally, within the category of Best Decoration is the award for Best Dressed. This category was phrased in an open-ended way intentionally to encourage you to nominate not just the Hermit's best skins, but potentially some of their snazzier outfits from the Gamers for Giving livestream or other events throughout the year. Despite Joe Hills' best morph suit antics, the finalists were all skins still. Apparently you'll love a player in uniform, with the first 3 places all going to Hermits in work clothes. Grian's Permit Master fit came in 3rd, and the Popo found their way to 2nd place. Beating out the rest was Postmaster Pearl. Her primary outfit for this season was an adorable uniform designed to fit her role as the orchestrator of the server's award-winning postal system. And it even came with additional 3D elements, like the Postmaster hat or the signature over-the-shoulder mail bag. Ironically, we can't fit the reward in the mail.
Now we'd like to take a moment to pat ourselves on the back, or to let 3,200 of you who voted do it for us. We've created 3 awards to celebrate the best things Hermitcraft Recap has done this season. And the first up is actually the last thing we usually do each week, the thumbnails. Each episode of Recap needs a cover to entice you all to click. So I face a new challenge to summarize that week event, not in a lengthy script, but in one memorable image. Or sometimes 3 images, all containing Shrek just for lols. Yeah, as soon as we got the YouTube feature allowing us to test 3 thumbnails against one another, I have written into a script a question of whether the viewers clicked on the one with Shrek on it. I then made all 3 thumbnails have Shrek in them. To your credit, that particular week, a lot of you actually figured out that all 3 thumbnails were Shrek. But while memorable, this stunt didn't even rank among your top 3 for the best recap thumbnail for Season 10, making it truly, deeply a waste of everybody's time. Instead, that award goes to Week 21, a thumbnail best described as Joe Hill's attorney-in-law, as the Juppet's head is photoshopped onto Phoenix Wright's body, seemingly strangling a tiny Doc M as Zombie Cleo watches in horror. It feels worth saying here that this is the only thing on the entire awards docket that Joe Hill's actually won. And we want to say that because we know for a fact that Joe Hill's Discord has tried to stack the ballots. Now, to our knowledge, they didn't try to commit straight up voter fraud, and instead just showed up and voted, which is neither unfair nor illegal, and also this is a Google form, who cares. But it is hilarious that from what we can tell, the people from Joe's Discord also only voted for whatever they felt was best, and not just Joe. And even this, the category he won, seems to have won by a normal amount of votes. So just for giggles, Joe also gets our fan base that most believes in democracy badge. But of course, once you actually click on the thumbnail, you will be bombarded with patented meme edits, which is why we made a best recap moment right in to see which of those you like the most. Even though, and it's been proven by the poll, there was really never any competition. As good as Skizzleman's Gourmand race was, on me hijacking Mambo's chapter titles to announce his segments in the show, the category was ultimately stolen by America's sweetheart, Keralis with a gun.
This is a robbery.
Back at the start of the season, we liked Keralis softly telling us that this is a robbery so much that we kept randomly putting him into our recaps, whether it made sense or not. But it's not the only thing we started doing in every other episode of the show that you guys really appreciate. Because finally, for this section of the Recap Awards, there's Mumbo Jumbo. Turns out, of all the comedic writing you could have picked for the Best Recap Quote Award, you chose to celebrate the phrase highlighting that the show is almost over. Just goes to show, nothing we as a community appreciate more than a running gag and commitment to the beat.
Now on to our largest category, Best Events, where we talk about all the wild things that happened this season. Remember Demise? Demise happened this season. Remember Exile? Remember Tag? You, the viewers, remembered all this and more, suggesting and voting on your favorite moments and lore from throughout the season. We'll start at the beginning of the season with our award for Best Demise Kill. The first few weeks of Season 10 were spent in a game of life and death, with each player having just one life and the winner taking home a fabulous prize. Dying didn't mean you were free from the game either. Hermits were strongly encouraged to find ways to spend their post-mortem playtime making sure their server mates switch teams as quickly as possible, leading to some creative and memorable kills. One of these stuck out to you all more than anything else on our survey. Winning the award for Best Demise Kill with a landslide 61% of your votes was
Oh my god.
This is a monumental moment in the history of the season's demise, as XPcraft had continued to escape the Reaper's wrath for far longer than anyone expected. That is, until Grian and Joel Smallspeens huddled down below his front yard with enough dynamite to take out a small mountain. Admittedly, Grian did say he wanted to completely Exodia the guy. Needless to say, everyone involved got launched or flattened, but most importantly, XPcrafted was in fact obliterated. An honorable mention goes to that time that half the server banded together to kill Pearlescent Moon with fishing rods. Neither of these amazing demise kills topped the list for best death, however. Instead, that award goes to this season's greatest whiff. The time the hammer did not, in fact, find a nail. The server's fascination with Minecraft's latest weapon led to plenty of mace-related deaths, but none more infamous than B-Dubs' dramatic swing and miss, sending him slamming to his death while aiming for a very stationary Skizzleman.
Please be quiet during my moment. Looks like the hammer just found a nail.
Good job, B-Double-O. We would hate to see you put up a shelf.
We move on from deaths to lives, specifically those of mobs. We asked who or what you thought was the best mob of Season 10, be it pet, sports equipment or otherwise, and you answered otherwise. Even the runners-up for this category are hard to categorize. You gave third place to the entire swarm of happy ghasts that Azuma inflicted on the server, and a very close second to B-Dubs' horse, Climb 10's Ghost, who it should be noted is technically Cleo's horse and should not be confused with Climb 10, a horse who belonged to B-Dub but was later killed. Beating out the rest, however, is a ZF creation, the Chicken Jockey Witch. In case you missed the convoluted creation of this oddity, early in the season, Zedaf built himself a chicken jockey farm, before it was topical even, in order to get baby zombie villagers to spawn on feathered mounts. From there, he captured and cured several of the terrible tots, leading them home to grow up and become his trading hall for the season. Eventually, he took this one step further, creating a setup that struck a mounted villager with lightning and turning it into a witch.
Oh my goodness, it happened! Wait.
Once again proving that if it can be done in Minecraft, ZF will find a way to do it and then make it everyone else's problem. Another of our more decisive categories is next, as we asked what was the best prank or prank war of the season. Now, as we mentioned earlier, there were no enormous server-spanning prank wars to be seen in Season 10, unless you count False Symmetry punking us all by never using her Joker permit. And while many of you just wanted to know who the Ore Snatcher is still, even more of you... Wait. One moment, we're getting another call. Can we put you on hold? That's right, Grian's persistent use of the Please Hold music by Jono Smithers wins the award for Best Prank of Season 10. While we counted all the occurrences under this Please Hold entry, our personal pick is the time he subjected the audience to the entire 5-minute song in the middle of an already 7-hour-long video. What, was that episode too short or something? And admittedly, we have uploaded 2 10-hour videos just to summarize Season 9, so it makes sense his dive into Season 10 would take this long. But we could fill up an even longer opus with all the story stuff that happened this season. The idea of Hermitcraft even having a storyline is kind of hilarious, given that the whole thing is a Minecraft Let's Play, but it having enough of those to warrant a poll is certainly extra. So given the opportunity, what did you vote for? Well, the Permit Office got not 1, but 2 nominations, for the time it got a police force, as well as the time Cubfan was their boss for a while. But the hands-down most beloved plotline of the season turned out to rest on the smallest men of them all. As such, Tall Claims Court wins the award for Best Overall Storyline.
You will be going 24 hours again in the Skyblock.
You just gotta love when someone puts the cute into judge, jury, and executioner.
Within all these tangled plots this season were several key moments that stood out and really defined the direction each storyline took. Many of these moments took place in Tall Claims Court, helping to explain it winning the previous award, but some moments were so big they took place over the vast distance of the entire server and took multiple days to complete. Your pick for best plot moment of the season was Zombie Cleo's spite-fueled horse ride across the nether roof, holding W with a stubbornness seen only in Kurt J. Mack before them.
It feels like I've spent a ridiculous amount of time doing it, but it also feels like I've spent nothing at all.
When the server's spawn point got set to the world border and 30 gajillion blocks separated everyone from their homes, it was Zombie Cleo who said, "Bet," and simply rode a horse over the roof of the nether for multiple days to once again reach civilization. Or at least reach Grian and his melon party, which hurdled them none, admittedly.
Well, to reward your efforts for making the journey back here, which I believe took 4 days, we've decided to throw you a melon party.
I don't like this.
Joe Hills made sure to get them an Enderpearl stasis chamber nearby, and that stuff's immune to Severance references. We move on now from server-wide plots to more individual ones. We asked you, who had the best personal or base lore? Basically, whose personal storyline you liked the most this season, regardless of how or if it touched anyone else's videos. And the resulting answers were an interesting mix of big deliberate base designs and fishing accidents. Exemplifying that duality are the runners-up for the category, Rendog and Gigacorp, and Fisherman Grian and the Mending Book. Gigacorp has been a multi-season long love letter from Rendog to the sci-fi genre. with lore as modular as the buildings supposedly designed by the capitalist space company. Also, there were space rats. Meanwhile, Grian's plot was driven by the sheer dumb luck. Or the opposite of that, leading him down a rabbit hole of madness as he quested for weeks for something Scar managed to get in minutes. Both of these were overwhelmed, however, by the passage of time. As you may know, throughout the back half of the season, Mambo Jumbo's skin started to change, gaining grey hair and other signs of aging before he announced that he was in fact getting old and would be putting his brain into a chicken at the end of the season. This transformation wins the recap awards for best personal and base lore for season 10. Thank you, Mambo. We feel extra old knowing that you were not even 18 back in season 2.
Our last two events categories are a bit sillier. In addition to the best actual lore above, we asked you what your favorite lore was, in quotation marks. Yes, we did basically ask you this to have an excuse to give an award to Etho's desk setup. No, you did not disappoint with your answers. The winner for best lore, with nearly half of your votes, beating out even the Skulk's love for Cub fan, is Etho's desk setup.
Just as a temporary solution, I stuffed the mic in a Kleenex box as a holder, and it works surprisingly well.
While Etho reveals many travesties about his home office throughout the season, he explains the main highlights during Mumbo's episode Ranking Hermits, in which Mumbo tries to convince everyone his unusual keyboard habits are the least of the server's problems. And it's too bad that box is empty, because it would have come in handy for the moment that bizarrely took the title of Best Minigame Moment. This was our single closest category, with the second place losing by only 2 votes out of over 3,000. In second place was the finale for Is That Sheep Looking at Me?, Zedaf's Ovine game show. This competition saw the winners from the previous 3 episodes going head-to-head in several fluffy mini-games. We're glad there was already a trophy given out for that, however, as it was beaten out by Etho getting a nosebleed while traversing Cub fans' labyrinth.
I got a Kleenex stuffed in my nose now because my blood pressure was getting so high from frustration. My nose started to bleed.
Look, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree with you weirdos on that one. Here, Etho, just take the award and let's move on.
And finally, we arrive at our last category, the best of the best. These are the cream of the crop, the best Hermitcraft there was to have in all of Season 10. We'd also say that this is the stuff you show to your friends to convince them to start watching the show, but that would be a lie, as most of this is impenetrable nonsense without half a season of context. The first and most obvious example being your pick for the best quote of the season. Despite all the highlights given to us by the elaborate tangle of storylines, Kiralis wins the award with the one-liner, again from Mambo's Ranking Hermits episode.
So first of all, thank you for the invite to this freak show. I am just left-handed. That's my only.
And by the way, Kiralis also won the best recap quote category. What can we say? The man knows how to make a soundbite, which is ironic because he didn't win best soundbite. We created the best soundbite category mostly to honor Capfan135's vast collection of custom god horns, most of which play iconic quotes from the Hermits, but also to celebrate some of the quotes that weren't quite long enough to count as quotes, whether they were ever immortalized as a playable god horn or not. Winning this award is Impulse SV and his very defeated reaction to hot sauce.
Okay.
Oh my god.
This is a lot of trees.
I can't believe he did it already.
Heard mostly around the server in the form of Gemini Tay tooting it in Impulse's general direction. The quote was one of the earliest out-of-context bits added to the custom god horns and certainly earned its place as the best soundbite for the season 10. I edited 80 episodes of recap for you, and you picked this over Dokam saying, anyway what?
While we previously discussed the best storyline related moment of the season, we also wanted to know what your favourite moment was, period, regardless of plot relevance. Lifted of the plot requirement, you still nearly picked Cleo's ride back from exile. However, that was narrowly beat out by one of the season's wildest cases of sheer dumb luck, Scar catching a mending book in front of Grian, a moment many people far more familiar with Minecraft loot tables than us perceived as Scar stealing the book from Grian.
Oh, man.
Of course, by taking that mending book, Scar gifted us all with several more episodes of Grian's Descent into Madness, so we really have Scar to thank for those sweet mutton chops. And finally, there's our award for Best Overall Episode. We asked you all to think about Season 10, really look back on it, digest it, ponder it, tear it to pieces, and then tell us what you thought were the best parts about it. You answered a multitude of things. You said mace fights and mailbags, horse rides and witch jockeys, hold music and hungry hermits. But when asked what you thought was the best of the best, the number one episode of the whole season, the coup de grace, representing what Hermitcraft has to offer, you chose impenetrable nonsense that needs not half a season but arguably several seasons to comprehend.
Surprise! I feel like some more context was maybe needed in this listing.
Your pick, and admittedly probably ours as well, for the best overall episode of Season 10 goes to Mumbo Jumbo for Ranking Hermits, aka The Freak Show. A round of applause, everyone, both for our winner and for reminding us that we're all freaks in our own little ways. And that's about it for this season's Recap Awards. Our hosts today have been Pixelriffs, SloyXP, and Liara. We hope you've enjoyed this look into some of the best moments of the season. I'm sure you're already on the way to the comments to tell us why your favourite was robbed, but while you're down there, if you could hit the like button and maybe even let us know what other videos you'd like to see from us during the Hermitcraft off-season, we'd appreciate it.
Anyways, what?